Michael, I got a question for you. Was there ever a point where you wanted to give up, and what made you continue?
Yes, there definitely was. Really, the first couple deaths were getting to me personally, and then I thought I saw a death and I was wrong, and there's just been a lot of foretelling that I've been mistaken with, like even with the weather, and then just and nothing coming of these deaths and nothing actually being done about them. And I actually just ended up needing to barter. I needed to barter my vehicle for a horse, and I had to just get out for a while. I went up in the mountains and I just took some time to myself, because it's just not right what's happening to my people and to my tribe, and we don't deserve this.
Yeah, and whose horse was that, may I ask?
That was Benoit's horse, and he unfortunately was in jail at the time for a crime that he did not commit. So again, there's just all of these terrible things happening to my people. Benoit did not deserve to be in jail, and thankfully I was still able to get that horse and trade my car in, but it's just not fair.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Can you describe to me one of the biggest some of the biggest challenges since the discovery of Grace's death?
I would say definitely just the lack of my foretelling skills. I used to be spot on. Anytime I had a vision, everybody knew I was right and was able to prepare, but just something as simple as the weather I'm getting wrong. I thought we were supposed to have so much rain, and then there was a drought, and everything has just been off. And then I had this vision that John was gonna die, and I thought it was John Thomas, and I went to warn them, and then it was John Stink, and so it was the wrong John. And so then everybody thought I was wrong and I couldn't be trusted. And then John Thomas's death gets pinned on me because he was shot and nobody could figure out who did it. And so I'm doing jail time for something I didn't do. I'm just here trying to protect my people and help my people, and here I am getting imprisonment and getting deaths pinned on me, and that's just not who I am. And this is just taking a toll on me and my life and the people around me, and not being able to see me for me, and still my peers dying, and it's just really taking a toll on my faith.
Yeah, and how did you get out of jail, may I ask?
Actually, I had an IOU written for a poker game I was in, and I was out playing poker till the wee hours of the morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, something like that, and I had an IOU written because I didn't have the money on me, because I didn't plan on playing poker that night, and I did, and thank goodness I did. Otherwise, I'd still be in jail and maybe even dead.
That's just incredible, thank you. As I introduced you, I talked about how you're the written recorder of recent events. Why do you feel it's important to write down the events of these disappearances and murders?
Well, as it might be already known, it's pretty traditional for Native cultures. We don't really write things down often, and if we do, it's very little details. But with all of these huge things going on, it is, to me, so important that we write these down, we document them, so that hopefully in the future, the near future preferably, we can get to the bottom of these murders. We can see who actually did it. We can remember the actual key details that happened. There can be no he said, she said, no forgetting details. It's going to be, this is what happened, and this is the way it is. And then in the future, we have a great detailed history of what actually did happen. And so hopefully our tribe can really be remembered for who we are, and the good that happened, and the terrible things that happened to us.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why I'm here today. We talked about earlier, you being accused of a murder, and so why were you accused of John Thomas's murder, and do you think it's suspicious that you foreshadowed his murder?
So yeah, I was accused of his murder because I saw a vision of a John being murdered. Well, there's 2 very prominent Johns in our town, John Thomas and John Stink, and I thought John is going to be murdered, and didn't know which one, and they ended up both being murdered, and John Thomas, or they were found murdered, and John Thomas, there was no witnesses to his death. There was just a bullet shot in his head, and nobody there to witness it. And because I saw a vision and tried to warn people that he was going to die, because I couldn't find him that night. I was running around frantically trying to find him and warn him of his death, and I couldn't find him, so I told other people in the town. And so they immediately assumed that I did it, and I was trying to play it off like I didn't. And so yeah, I get why they think it's suspicious, but for me, I know my truth, and I know that I'm a visionary, I'm a foreteller, I can see what's gonna happen. And so, it's not suspicious to me, no.
So in that prior question, we talked about John Stink. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I've heard record of him being dead, but then I also heard record of people seeing him around town. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Yes, certainly. He was presumed dead. He was found, and we thought he had alcohol poisoning and died. So we did have a burial for him, and he was and buried, and then we found his grave had been uprooted, and we thought it was the grave robbers that have been going around stealing the belongings that we bury with our loved ones. And then again, we were having all the sightings of him around town, and nobody could quite figure it out. Well, it turns out he was not dead. He is alive. He just happens to be deaf and mute now. And so he couldn't hear anybody, and he wasn't speaking. And so everybody just thought he was this ghost roaming around town. Turns out he is alive. So we're hoping that he will be able to start speaking again and communicate better with the people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael, for talking with me today. Next up, I will be interviewing Nola Blanket, daughter of the deceased Grace Blanket and the newlywed to William.
Thank you.